Hey everybody, what's going on? Steelboy here. Hope you're doing good and living the life. Well, we're getting ready for another vlog. I'm just waiting on my Uber and we're going to be on our way. And there's my Uber right there, so we'll be on our way. There goes my Uber, as now I am at the Alamo. Now, here in San Antonio, some of our city officials want to reimagine the Alamo. We all know what happened here, but yeah, they think it's time to reimagine it, move a couple cenotaphs, but we're not going to get into that right now because we're here for a ghost tour. All right, Alamo behind me. We're waiting for the tour to get started, and just to let you know, the tour is RJA Ghost Adventures. So I'm going to put their link in the description below. Check them out if you want to take a ghost tour while you're in San Antonio. They also do paranormal adventures where you can go on an actual paranormal hunt as well. So that sounds like fun. So I'm going to put their link in the description below, and at your leisure, feel free to go check them out. I think you might have some fun if you do. Now, the tour guide just told me I can't record audio of his tour because it's copywritten and people have tried stealing it. So, I don't know how fun it's going to be not knowing what the tour guide says, but we're going to try and figure it out. I'm still going to get you the locations that we're at, and I'll tell you a little bit of what the tour guide said, and we'll figure it out as we go. All right, we're making our way right here to the Menger Hotel.
Oh, okay. Calm down.
All right, we're on our way to the Menger Hotel. And if you follow my vlogs, you know that I did a vlog of haunted sites last year, and the Menger Hotel was one of them. I'm going to put a link in the description below to that vlog so you can check it out. So I'm not going to go into many details. I'm not going to get him explaining a whole lot. And I'll just get a few shots of the hotel.
There we are at the Menger Hotel.
Menger
Before
Hotel.
we get into the details stuff, I want to give you guys an exact idea of what to expect on our tour. So when we arrive at the site, I'm going to start off by giving you a small tour of the beloved Alamo. I know it's weird to checking ourselves, but the other tours is how we worked out not to run into each other. So follow me.
And his speech for the Menger Hotel is about the same that I gave about the ghost of Sally White in Roosevelt and Mr. King, the cattle rancher, here at the Menger Hotel. Also, I'm going to be coming down here sometime and doing a vlog because a lot of movies have been shot here at the Alamo. Pee Wee Herman, his big adventure there was a scene shot here. Miss Congeniality, where I was actually an extra in. The stage was set up right about over here, and the Alamo was in the background. And Cloak and Dagger was also filmed here, back when this was actually a road you could drive down. But now you can't. They blocked it off and made it part of the plaza. But yeah, I want to do a little bit of those movie vlogs right here, and others around the city.
I'm not quite sure what those are for.
Alright, for copyright reasons, you won't be hearing the actual audio from the ghost tour. I am going to provide a voiceover and give you a description of what the tour guide said. What our tour guide is explaining here is that General Santa Anna ordered the destruction of the Alamo, and he put General Juan Andretti in charge of that mission. General Andretti sent several men out to do that. They came back with a frightening tale of 6 Diablos, or devils, guarding the Alamo. Now, General Andretti thought they were cowards, and he took his men to the Alamo to destroy it. They destroyed part of the outer wall and the 2-story long barracks. As they were getting ready to lay siege on the Alamo, a apparition appeared. It was a tall apparition with flaming cannonballs with hands. It did not say a word, and it just raised its hands. Well, when they saw this apparition, they retreated, thus saving the Alamo from destruction. Now, our tour guide also explained there's another ghost. It's the ghost of a young boy, and sometimes he's seen in the 2nd-story window. This ghost is believed to be a young boy that was at the Alamo, and one of the Mexican soldiers thought he was one of the Alamo defenders and stabbed him with his bayonet and killed him. And now this boy is haunting the Alamo as well. There's the cenotaph that they're going to be moving when they rediscover the Alamo. I sat right in front of there for the movie Blank Check as Brian Bonzo drove his limousine down this road here and threw out money out of the sunroof, which I have some as a souvenir.
And they put those on there.
So now we are going to
like thick black,
the Emily Morgan Hotel.
Black classic. But you know, I know a lot of the ranges and stuff. And as I mentioned, we're now at the Emily Morgan Hotel. This used to be a hospital, and then after the hospital closed, it became an office building. Then in 1984, it became the Emily Morgan Hotel. The most frequent types of hauntings, they say, are cold spots. You can feel cold spots throughout any of the floors at any time. Also, there is a ghost that hangs out in the elevator. The front desk will get a call, and they'll look at their camera because there are cameras in the elevator and there's nobody there. But yet, the elevator called the front desk. Now, the front desk hears 3 things: silence, or it will hear static, and on occasions it'll hear laughter and talking. Now, the most haunted floors of the Emily Morgan Hotel are 4, 6, and 12. Mostly, you'll hear noises and things moving around, and also you will hear the sounds of moans and people in agony, as it was a hospital. Now, this particular hotel has 14 floors. However, that's technically not true. They have floor 13 as floor 14, as to get rid of the 13th floor completely. So if you were in the elevator, it would go from 1 to 12, no 13, and you would have a 14th floor. Well, we're on our way to our next location. He didn't say what it is yet, but that was a little bit of the Emily Morgan Hotel. Here's one of the original signs for Walgreens, the neon sign. And if you can see, it doesn't have the S on it. It just says Walgreens Drugs. Right there. The site we're going to visit on tonight's tour, that is because instead of telling you about several distance, to have a confirmed haunting associated with it from our beloved city. But like always, why don't we begin with the history. The building opened.
We are at the Sheraton Gunter Hotel, which opened in 1837 as the Frontier Inn, only a year after the fall of the Alamo. It was only 2 stories at the time, And at the turn of the century, John Gunter bought the hotel and added 6 more stories, and it opened in 1909. Now, there are several ghost appearances at the Gunter Hotel, from flapper girls to ghosts that are dressed in what appears to be Alamo Defender garb, but we're not going to be talking about any of those ghosts. We're going to be talking about an unsolved mystery that happened in 1965. On February 6, 1965, Elbert Knox checked into the hotel. And he was a partier, and he was seen by several people with a tall girl. On February 8th, a hotel maid was delivering items to Knox's room 636. There was a do not disturb sign on the door, so the maid knocked, declared herself, and opened the door. When she did, she saw Knox standing with a bloody bundle in his arms next to the foot of the bed. Naturally, the maid screamed and ran out of the room. At that point, Knox used that opportunity to run past the maid and leave. Now, they say that the bathroom was the bloodiest part of the room. It appears that Knox tried to dismember the body, flush it down the toilet, and wash it down the drain of the bathtub. Now, it took 45 minutes for the report to make it to the management, and by this time, Knox had totally disappeared. On February 9th, Knox checked into the St. Anthony Hotel, which is just a block down the road. Now, he had no luggage, which raised suspicion, so the police were called. When the police got there, they went to the room and tried to enter the room, but before they did, there was a single gunshot, and Knox had killed himself. Now, to this day, they have no idea who this woman was that Knox was with, and they're not sure if that was even the woman that was murdered in the room. They have no idea who the victim was at the hotel. So, it is still an unsolved mystery to this day.
We are now at our next location, the San Fernando Cathedral. I was here once for some sort of award, and I don't remember a whole lot of what award it was, but I was here once. And there are the tombs inside of this building. They're right in the entrance here if you go in. And we are right across the street from the courthouse, right there, which is said to have a good fair amount of ghosts as well. But we're not doing that right now. We're right here at the San Fernando Cathedral.
As mentioned, we are at the San Fernando Cathedral. The original construction began in 1738, and it took 15 years to complete. It is the oldest cathedral in Texas and is the oldest operating cathedral in the United States. There is a sarcophagus right at the entrance, and it's believed to be the defenders of the Alamo. Now, they're not really sure. However, they are dressed in the period clothing of that time. Now, also, it's not uncommon for people to be buried in the floors and the walls of a cathedral. Those are typically priests and other religious and spiritual leaders. And the ghosts of the cathedral that are seen are appearing to walk through walls and doorways, and they are dressed in robes which are period for the time. Now, also, our tour guide showed us a picture that he actually took, because there, as you can maybe notice in the picture, there are lights on in the top of the cathedral, the windows. He took several pictures, and he showed that there was nothing there except for the last picture. There was what appeared to be a boy looking out of the window, and it's supposed to be one of the altar boys that is haunting the cathedral. And I took several pictures, and I have nothing appearing in the windows or staring back or looking at me, so I did not capture any ghosts on this tour, but he was lucky enough, and it still makes the hair on my neck stand up looking at that picture, because yeah, you can definitely see a young boy staring out of the window. No ghosts in the windows today. We are at the Spanish Governor's Palace. It has been a host of things throughout the years, such as a restaurant and a schoolhouse, but it is now a museum and has remained one since 1931. Most of the hauntings here are of things that are rearranged. After the staff leaves for the night, objects seem to get rearranged, such as chairs, vases, and stuff like that. Now, another story that happened back in the day, the governor and his family would take a vacation or go back home to visit their families and leave the palace unattended. Well, two banditos knew that the governor had left the palace, and they went to rob it. As they entered the courtyard, they saw a maid. They got spooked and killed the maid. Now, the maid screamed and the kitchen staff heard, but they made a whole bunch of ruckus to come out to see what was going on, that the banditos heard that and left. Now, the kitchen staff came out and couldn't find a body at first, and then they discovered the maid in the well. As they went to retrieve the body, they found another body in there of the governor's daughter. The governor's daughter they thought had been kidnapped, and they thought was killed, because there have been attempts to kidnap the governor's daughter before, and the governor's daughter was an entitled princess who wanted anything that she wanted now and whenever. She was like, I want my things and I want it now. So they thought the governor's daughter was killed because she was being an entitled brat and no ransom was ever made. Now, upon the disappearance of the governor's daughter, they could not take that, so he resigned his post and moved back to his, his home, and they never realized that their daughter was only a few feet away from them in the well. So far, the tour has been pretty cool, and we're moving on to our last location right now, so unfortunately, it's almost over.
Two renovations, the first in
Express.
1911, the second in 1926, added the additional floors of the building, and the single room here that's quite different than the rest. Inside the room, it's only ever experienced a single haunting. It's one of only 3 rooms of haunting to be experienced from. We're going to say that.
We are now at the Holiday Inn Express, which used to be the old Bexar County Jail. In the 19th century, San Antonio was a growing city, and with any growing city, there's crime, so a new 2-story jail was built. Now, as San Antonio grew, there was a need for another prison because there was more crime, and space was limited at the Riverwalk, so they decided in 1912 to build another story to the jail. Now, for a third time, San Antonio was growing even more faster, so in 1926 they decided to add 2 more floors to the jail. Now, the jail's most notorious feature was an indoor execution system, the gallows. Most gallows at the time were outside, but due to space outside, this one was put inside, and there was a trap door on the 3rd floor. The prisoner was marched up to the 3rd floor, a noose was put around their neck, and the trap door was open, and they fell 2 stories, snapping their neck. Now, the last public execution that took place in the building was in 1921. The inmate's name was Clemente, and he was charged with the brutal murder of Theodore Bernhardt. Now, Clemente was on his way home back to San Antonio from a family friend's house, and as he was traveling, he was thirsty and he stopped at the Salado Creek. He went to get some water, but the water was all muddy. He looked up to find the source of the mud and saw two boys playing, so he charged them. Now, the two boys playing there was Theodore and his younger brother, Kirby. As he charged them, they saw and tried to run, but Clemente got Theodore and Kirby got away. Clemente proceeded to beat Theodore with a rock and beat him to death, but he wasn't done there. He took out his knife and started stabbing him as well. By the time Kirby came back with people, Theodore was already dead and Clemente was already back home in San Antonio. Now, they found Clemente and he was put into the jail and sentenced to death. Now, he was marched up to the 3rd floor, the noose was put around his neck, and public executions were still witnessed at the time, so the public was down there to watch this. Now, as Clemente was standing on the trapdoor opened, he fell 2 stories, and the noose tightened, but it did not break his neck. Instead, what happened, the noose caught on his carotid artery and opened up and sprayed the whole audience with blood at the time. Back then, there was no glass to keep the spectators separate from the execution, so they got sprayed with all of the blood. The family members of Theodore, even though it was so graphic, they thought that Clemente deserved more of a horrific death than he got. But if you stay at the hotel, you're going to hear metal clanking, such as inmates clanking cups on, the bars. You're going to hear metal doors opening and slamming shut, such as the cell doors opening and closing. You will hear screaming and you will hear all of that. Also, if you're playing out at the swimming pool, take a note, that used to be where the morgue was. Now, if you decide to stay at the motel, the 2 of the most haunted rooms are room 108 and 218. They say you will often see ghosts and other apparitions in those rooms, as well as all of the rooms in the hotel. So, stay at your own risk.
Alright, well, the ghost tour was pretty good. David was nice. David is the tour guide that we had, and learned a lot of cool stuff. Alright, I just got back home. My Uber dropped me off, and I'm heading into the house. But I gotta say, this ghost tour was pretty nifty. If you're in San Antonio or you're visiting San Antonio, check it out. I think you might like it. Just be prepared you might not be able to film. So, if you're not a subscriber to my channel, please hit that subscribe button below. I think you're going to like what you see here. Also, leave me a thumbs up or thumbs down, or go ahead and just leave me a comment. Also, don't forget to hit that bell notification below. That'll let you know when my vlogs come out, and it'll keep you in the loop. As always, you can check me out on Facebook or Twitter. Links are below. And, as always, this is Steelboy. I'll catch you on the flip side.